going on, everybody? This is Translation, powered by Translation Media. I'm your host, Nick Beam.
I'm your host, Curtis Blair, one half of Translation. We are here with the credit consultant, Tishara Walker. She is here with us out of Las Vegas, Nevada. But we are here today to have a little bit of conversation about financial empowerment and credit and all those good things. So what's up, Nick? How you doing today, baby?
I'm doing smooth, man. I can't complain. Definitely interested in hearing how we can strategize on better repair and credit and just kind of, understanding how credit works. I feel like majority of people in this world don't really understand how credit actually works. I know I was one of people very young trying to figure out how all of it works. And
For sure.
it wasn't until I became an adult to really fully understand how to maximize credit. So it's good to have you on the show.
Happy to be here.
And I look forward to hearing your insight and input on how credit works.
Yeah, we need you to translate credit, please, for us and break it down. You know, we work together hand in hand on a day in, day out basis. Tishara has her own company, True Consulting, but we work hand in hand. She does all my credit repair for Blair and Associates. So we thought about, hey, if we're going to be helping the people and translating what's going on in the economy, what's going on in culture, and what's going on in business and lifestyle, everybody need to get their credit together. I mean, it's a foundation. So, T, tell us a little bit about what your skill set is and get a little bit of background about you.
Yeah, of course. I've been with True Consulting. I started it about a year ago, but I've been in the business for about 3 or 4 years now. Believe it or not, credit started with me back when I was like 16 years old. That's when I got my first credit card. And I always look back now to think that all of that experience, fast forward now, actually really helps me in how I maneuver with my clients and whatnot. So, my oldest credit card on my report is 16 years old. Yeah, I know. So it's a hard
You got an OG
to say
credit
that.
card.
Yeah. Being in the business, you learn that a lot of people just don't know the basics. So I got into it and I found like my passion started to grow because I'm like, man, a lot of people really need help with this. And so what I do is I pretty much educate my clients on helping them understand the basics of maintaining a good credit score, like what it takes to achieve over a 680, get into the 700 plus club. So whether it is that they need help on removing things, getting their report cleaned up, or getting into things that help build their credit again and helping them understand how to use credit cards, me and my team, we do it all.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some foundational things that people need to understand when it comes to credit? Because this isn't taught in schools. They don't teach you about credit when you come up. My first introduction to credit was that credit card when I went my freshman year in college.
Oh, yeah, same.
I'm probably pretty sure that
That's
you had
your
that.
first credit card?
Yeah.
That's when I had my first
In
credit card.
college,
My
okay.
mom didn't put me on,
Crazy.
no knock to my mom, but,
Yeah.
my mom didn't put me on any credit. She didn't put me on any light bills or anything of that nature. So my first experience was me going to college and filling out that application, and I had my FAFSA form, and I had, I was on scholarship, so
Yeah.
I was finessing the money anyway, so I was getting every single little check that they could give me. For
I
real,
ain't gonna hold you.
for real, because when that Pell Grant check came in,
Mm-hmm.
My sister just did the same thing. So
hey, that Pell Grant check
Yeah.
came in, we went
Your
straight
free
to the mall. We went straight to the mall.
get your money.
So, that was my first experience with getting that credit card. So, a lot of people I don't know about. Nick, tell them a little bit about your experience.
Mine was around the same time. I didn't get my
I didn't even look at his credit. Sorry to cut you off. So I didn't even look at his credit. I thought it was just free money at the time. I ain't gonna front.
Which most people probably do.
Yeah, I didn't really have an introduction into credit. Like, so I had young parents, so very, very much raised by the village, grandma's boy, both of my grandmothers. So my mother's mother, she didn't like credit. She had one line of credit, and it was this place called Finger Hut. And actually two. It was Finger Hut. Yeah, Finger Hut, and then it was this furniture store down the block from where we lived.
Right.
Those are the only two lines of credit, and she would always tell me, you can't buy it outright, and you can't afford it.
I feel like that's an old school thing.
Yeah, it's very
Definitely
very
Definitely
misleading.
old
Yeah.
school, yeah.
So when I get to college, I apply for like this $500 credit limit visa, and I'm doing it. I actually didn't tell my grandmother. I think I got a bill sent to her address, and that's how she found out. And she literally got my ass.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, she was like, you don't need it. She said, can you afford it? And I had a job. I was at the post office on campus. So I was making a little bit of money. I had, fast food.
Yeah, job in college.
Yeah, I had a job in college.
I had a job in high school. What you mean?
Yeah, I had a job in college. It was a cool job too. But I felt like I could afford it. That's why I opened the line.
Right.
And I was doing pretty well with it for a while. And then it fell behind because when it came down to studying, I was there for school, not work. So once my curriculum started getting a little bit more challenging, work started taking a backseat, and then I was spending the other money, so I wasn't balancing the books right, and I wasn't going to school for math or economics or anything like that. I was going for sport management and communication. So like the things that I should have been learning out the gate on how to balance the books and understand credit, I didn't.
Yeah.
And then over a course of time, of course, the credit history is still young and new, and so you get more opportunities to open up lines of credit. I start opening up lines of credit for friends, and friends didn't pay me back, and it became this thing. So over a course of time,
I was mentality for real.
Yeah, I didn't have an understanding of credit properly.
Right.
So yeah, my experience was similar to yours.
So we applaud you for taking off when you were 16 without,
Yeah. And I learned I had a job when I got to 15 and a half. I always say 15 and a half because literally I asked my mom, when can I get one? And she was like, you got to be right in the middle. Everybody's like, just say 16. I'm like, no, the 15 and a half counts.
Right.
Yeah,
But that's when I started making money, and I went to Wells Fargo, and I was like, I just want a credit card. I can't remember why. And they denied me. And I walked out like, I don't understand why they denied me. But when I look back, I had no money in the bank. Maybe my checks were coming in, but I was obviously spending it. And then I can't remember what got me there, but I was like, I'm gonna put some money in the bank. So I saved $1,000. I put $1,000 in the bank. I went back and they approved me for $800. And that's when I realized, well, they approved me because they realized they have something to fall back on. She has money in the bank. So luckily I'm very, I get real picky when it comes to my finances, and I'm on top. Like, I look at my bank account every day. I have 9 credit cards. I look at them every day. I look at my transactions, all the things. So I was like that back when I was 16 because I wanted to keep track of everything. So that was my first credit card. And what I would do is I would spend it, and then I would take my paycheck and I would put everything back on it.
Smart.
And that's how I was able. And my parents never talked to me about this. My mom never talked to me about it. My dad. I just went and I started doing it on my own, and that's what helped me build up my credit, because I used to look at my credit score and I'm like, I want to be at a 680 plus, just because my own mentality. So then I went and applied for other credit cards and really just learned on my own that making your payments on time, keeping your balances low is what gives you good credit. I don't think my credit got bad until I had my second child, and that's because life happens. It happens to everybody.
Absolutely.
And at that time, when other things are becoming more priority, I don't have time to worry about my credit. So with all that being said, if I had to give some pointers out, for the young ones who aren't being taught the same things that we're talking about today, is I think secure credit cards are really undervalued because it's really
Explain what a secure credit.
Yeah, it's really designed to give people an opportunity. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. So a secure credit card, what it allows you to do is you can take $200 out of your own money, place it onto the card, and now that becomes your line of credit. So the bank is pretty much giving you a chance, like, let me see how you handle your money before we offer you money. So within a 6-month period of time, if you show that you can use this card at a very minimal scale, as in don't max it out, even though it's $200, don't get it to $200. Use maybe $50 of it every month or so. You pay that $50 off. Within 6 months, you show that I use the card and you can trust me to pay it back. Most banks, after 6 months, they will convert you over to a traditional credit card. So boom, now you got your first secure credit card, which is building up payment history, credit history, all the things, and it's aging. And then now you have your second card where you can get approved for traditional. So I feel like a lot of people need to look at the credit building opportunities that are available to them to start building up their credit and whatnot. Even if you're someone that's messed up your credit, it's a good way for you to start restoring it and fixing it too.
So credit, what would you say is the uses of credit? Why would people need to keep their credit good and everything else?
Because it makes life easier. Like, it just, when it comes to anything that you're trying to get yourself into, and I think a lot of people don't put that together too. Like, when they think about getting a car, they think about getting an apartment, nobody realizes that the credit is the number one thing they're going to look at. That's what you have in your back pocket. And people don't realize it, so they try to get an apartment. They're like, they didn't approve me. It's like, all right, well, because your credit's bad.
Right.
Now I'm looking into my credit because you denied me. You didn't give me something that I wanted. So anything that we have going in our life, from getting a car, from getting our apartment.
So 20% interest rates aren't good?
No, 20%. I mean, we need to be in single digits. Like,
Okay.
20% is terrible. Like, anything double digits. I mean, if you can get 3% and under, that's wonderful.
Right.
So yeah, credit ties in to everything, even down to us getting a job. I got clients right now that call me and they say, I need a letter that says you're working on my credit because they will not hire me unless they know I'm doing something about it. So all those things that, people may be seeing on social media about the videos, like it ties into your job, your APR on your cars, your credit cards, it's all true.
Right. Now, does that depend on a job that is specific to having credit? Like, are these banking jobs, or like what industry are these jobs
I do
in?
think it depends on the job. I'm more looking for the clients that have come to me, like government jobs, FEMA jobs, police officer. Like they're looking at your financials to see how you're handling that before they put you on the team and whatnot. That's from my experience. Like, I mean, I've worked in the casino, and I've never been denied a job for working in the casino. So it could be banking jobs, it could be other jobs, but from my experience, it's more of those government jobs.
They'll cash a check right in the casino, so I damn near know they don't care about.
I would imagine
care about you had your credit is.
Yeah.
A casino job if you're handling cash, because
the tellers maybe.
Yeah, tellers may have to go through a credit check because they don't. I've heard this before.
Oh, you've heard
okay. Now that I think about it, I've dealt with it. I have a brother that works for Clear.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll deny you a job based on credit because, they want to make sure that you're not taking money under the table, because those guys that are in the airport, they sell memberships. So, imagine a high roller, let's say a gambler from Vegas comes through, they don't want to stand in line, and they got a bunch of cash in their pocket and say, look, I'll give you some basic information and I'll slide you $1,000 under the table, but I don't want the membership. Right. I want to make sure that you don't take the job, that money in a job like that. So I would imagine like a teller or somebody that handles cash.
I would agree.
But there would be some stipulations on credit, and then obviously government jobs too as well.
Yeah,
but
I just know a lot of people with bad credit that work at the casino.
It's got money.
Exactly.
But I think the biggest thing, like, think about it like this too. When you look at the way we talk about politics and government, not to get into a rant about that, but like when you hear trillions of dollars in debt, and people hear debt, and immediately have a negative assumption about debt. So can you break down?
I was going to say, we should talk about that.
Can you break down what debt really means and how we should utilize it?
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of goes back to like what your grandma was talking to you about, because people hear the word debt and it's like you shouldn't be in debt. But I look at it like it's more on how you're handling your debt. Like if I have a credit card that I'm using and I took out $10,000, but I'm putting that down on a home and now that's getting me income into my house, that's not bad debt.
Right.
I'm using that debt correctly. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, especially on credit cards, because you think that it is your money. Now, if you have let's just give an example. If you have a $5,000 credit card and you got $5,000 in the bank, then you can afford that credit card. So if you go out and spend that, then you can pay it back. But if you have that card and you're using that money knowing how much income you have coming in, knowing that you can afford it, but you continue to swipe, that's what gets people in the hole. So I feel like when it comes to good debt, if you're utilizing that and putting that towards something that creates income into your household or goes towards a business or anything that you're trying to grow, then that's good debt to me.
So people shouldn't be trying to get credit to go to Jamaica.
K-Max card on a vacation.
I mean, all the bags, the shoes, and I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing. Like everybody gets excited. I mean, getting approved for a credit card is exciting. You know what I'm saying? I just got approved for Amex Platinum. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Get the Amex Platinum.
Could I go out there and run it up? Absolutely.
Was you scared? Yes.
Yes, I was. I got credit card trauma. I feel like a lot of people have credit card trauma. Like I was $25,000, $30,000 in debt like almost 2 years ago. And could I file for bankruptcy, do all the things? Sure. But I'm like, no, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to pay this off. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to do that. You know what I've noticed with my clients is it's easy for people to spend the money. It's hard for them to pay it back. But you don't understand that paying it back gets you more money.
That's a lot of trauma, though, when it comes to spending the money, as opposed to and the financial awareness that most people have when it comes to the money that they get on these credit cards, loans, lines of credit, things of that nature. A lot of people are using it for the temporary satisfaction that they're getting from the spending, the opulence, the trips. Oh, I deserve a trip. If you haven't worked for it and that's somebody else's money, what makes you deserve to go on a vacation or go on a trip or buy an expensive car just because you're using somebody else's money instead of not leveraging it to make money off of that standpoint. So a lot of people, that's basically a lot of people's trauma when it comes to the money that they get with these credit cards and these loans that are given to them.
A lot of people aren't used to having money.
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, once you get approved for it, it's like, man, I got $5,000-$10,000. Like, do you know what I could do with this? And people get too excited and they move too fast, which is understandable because, again, nobody taught you.
Well, my take on it, and this is just over a course of time, because I'm not one to say I've been knowing this, because if I did, then I would be your business partner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But I think
You are a partner, baby.
I mean, well, before we, we be talking about it together. I'm
No doubt.
I'm looking for pointers because I'm still learning. I'm a sponge when it comes to this stuff. But like money, right? So like people have a misunderstanding of money. Like they call it a currency for a reason. And so the problem is it has to be current. It's like water. It flows. And we're putting out our money and it's not flowing back to us. And a lot of people don't understand that ties into the credit too. It's all currency. So like you said, if you have a line of credit and you can afford that line, I'm either going to pay it back or I'm going to take this money and I'm going to invest it in something that's going to pay it back. But either way, it's being paid back. And then in turn, you get a larger line of credit or multiple lines of credit. And then now you get rewarded, but it all is in flow with the economy.
And you know what I think people need to do that a lot of people don't is a lot of people are not looking at their money. They don't, like, every month you should be looking at the money you have coming in, the expenses you have coming out, and then what you need to pay for, the extra money you have. Nobody's every month looking at their planner or making a plan of what am I doing with what's coming in and what's going out.
Right.
So everybody's just spending money like just free balling. I'm just going with the flow. I'm gonna make it work. And that's just not the way to do it. You make a plan, how to handle your money, and that's how you get further with leveraging other opportunities.
Okay. Can you give us 3 steps on how to do that? We ain't gonna
Before we get into 3 steps, what are the foundations that build a good credit score?
So the main things to build a good credit score is you have to establish credit history. The only way that you can do that is having a mixture of revolving credit and installment credit. The only way you can get revolving credit is credit cards. The way you can get installment credit is having a mortgage, a student loan, or an auto loan. So having like one installment and then maybe at least 2 or 3 credit cards, that's a good start. So if you have that conversation with a secure credit card, having a secure credit card, having a traditional, and you should be able to get approved for a second one, or you can have 2 secures. That's a good start, okay? Once you have that established of your mix of credit, then you need to make sure that you're making your payments on time. That's honestly the biggest thing when it comes to credit. And I don't think people understand that you could miss one payment on your credit report and it could drop you down 100 points. So once you have your credit mix established, then you make sure you're making your payments on time. Showing that you can make your payments on time for a long end, for 6 months to a year and continue, that's what helps build your credit. Those people that are in a 700 to 800 is because they've showed for a long time, I can make my payments on time and you can trust me. So your payment history, your credit mix, also making sure that your inquiries are low. Everybody needs to understand that when they're applying for things, when it comes to credit, it does ding you. So you running up inquiries 20, 30, like that will hurt your report as well. So you have to make sure that your inquiries are low. So really having your credit mix, your payment history, and then credit age. A lot of people from their credit card trauma is they like to pay their stuff off and close it, not understanding that does damage to the credit report. So when you have gotten to the point where you are juggling your credit cards very well, keep them open. Even if you don't want to use them anymore, keep them open, because when you can show a bank, I've had this credit card for 6-7 years, I use it very minimally, you can trust me to pay it back on time, that's what gets you your higher credit limits. That's what gets you approved for things for the bank, whether it's a loan, the extra credit cards, business funding, all the above. So credit mix, payments on time, your credit age, and keeping your inquiries low.
And utilization. Utilization is another factor. Because utilization, if you're over leveraged, they look at you as a bad lendable person, or entity in that capacity. So if you're over 30%, they look at you as high risk. So they would love for you to be under the 30%. But if you want to go get more credit, under the 10% aspect is more. That's why you can add on more credit, and it takes down your utilization. The more credit that you have over time, the better your utilization looks, because you now, say if you have 50,000 as opposed to 1,200 of utilization, of credit, when it comes to looking at your utilization and you spend 500 on that 2,500, your utilization is going to be high. Yeah. But if you use 500 on 50,000, they're going to look at it like, oh, I mean, he's still a good steward of the money that we're lending out to them. So we'll continuously work with them in that capacity. Building bank relationships is key. Credit unions, a lot of these different places are key, and making sure that your profile is in the right areas and right direction, and meeting the bank's metrics when you're trying to go and making sure that you're trying to get more money and being lendable.
Got it.
I feel like everybody should have 2 bank accounts. You should have one credit union and one traditional bank.
Mm-hmm. Just that many?
To start.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I have a question about, there's been gurus that's all over social media, and they talk about making multiple payments. Obviously, multiple payments would be good, but like they were talking about statement dates, balance dates, and stuff like that, the different dates that are on your actual statement and paying one date versus the other. Is that actually true? Like the reporting date versus the statement date or something like
Yeah,
that?
I feel
What is
like
that?
there's to me, especially having credit cards for so long, there's many ways that you could go about it. I feel like when you pay it before the statement date, what you're doing is you're saving money on interest. So if you let that date hit, then now the interest is on top of that. But if I pay that balance before it closes out, then there is no interest, because what do you charge me on if I paid it?
Right.
So when people are talking about that, they're just saying you save money on the back end when it comes to interest. That's my take on it. Can you make multiple payments on the credit card? Absolutely. They want to see that. Can you make a big lump sum at one time? Yes. I personally feel like it does the same thing. It all really depends on your balance. So if I had a $5,000 balance on my card and I just make $1,000 payment, which puts me down to 4, and the bank sees, okay, she paid the 1,000, she paid another 500, another 500, that looks good.
Okay.
It also looks good if I just hit you with $5,000 payment too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's more of just making sure your utilization stays low. However you want to do that, it all counts to look good back to the bank.
And the credit, the bureaus, they look at that if you're paying before the interest date.
But
right?
you're the strategists are right, but at the same time, when you're going in and you're dealing with your credit and the reporting date, this helps your credit score as opposed to when we're talking about utilization.
Gotcha.
So say if your statement date is the 4th of the month, but you pay it on the 30th, that's the reporting date. When you find out the reporting date, that is very key to keep your utilization down, because if they report on the 30th and you go to pay, say if you pay your balance is $2,500 and you pay that $2,500 on the 4th, your statement date or your reporting date is going to still have the balance.
Gotcha.
The statement date, now you done paid it on time. Yes, your on-time payments are good, but your utilization, whatever it's going to be, is going to be affected by that reporting date.
Gotcha.
So that's what is key about the reporting date as opposed to the statement date.
Okay.
So both of you are correct, and what they're saying is correct too, but making sure that, say, like we said, if you have a $2,500 limit and you spent $1,000, your utilization at that point in time is at 50% or whatever, 45%, whatever that percentage is. But when you pay it before that reporting date, now you're back to that 2,500 max limit that you haven't touched, because now they're reporting as you paid it in full.
Gotcha.
The credit bureaus don't see that you make multiple. The banks see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The credit bureaus, they see that you make it on time, and when you look at your credit report, it gives you the check. That's all they see.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you guys are saying there's multiple ways to look at it, and again, we're all on social media. It's a part of our life.
For sure.
And you see so many people post things and claim that they're gurus and stuff like that. And you just never know. And again, obviously making multiple payments on a credit card balance and during that statement period obviously is a good deal. But do the bureaus and do the banks actually look at that and say, okay, great, this person's making 2 payments. This person paid before the interest date.
Multiple payments is great, especially when you got a mortgage. So those, because you have your principal and you have your interest. So if you're paying on both, you can reduce the amount of time that you have your mortgage. So as opposed, say if you got a 15-year mortgage, you might be able to or pay it off in about 10 years. I'm just throwing out numbers. You're going to be able to pay it off in 10 years because you're paying on the principal and the interest.
Gotcha.
The interest is what makes you drag it out. And that's where really the mortgage companies make their money at, is on the interest. So once you pay the principal and you pay the interest on top of the principal, that's what they're talking about, multiple payments. You're paying down your whole mortgage quicker because you're not just letting the interest accrue over time.
Gotcha.
Same thing with a car.
Okay.
You can make weekly payments. My sister does that on her Tesla. So same thing.
Okay.
The banks do look at, the history that you are creating with them. I always tell my clients, like, if you maintain a high balance, they keep track of that. How long did you have that high balance? They keep track if you're only making the minimum payment. They always tell you if your payment's $25, pay $5 or $10 more. Do not just make the minimum. You always want to pay a little bit more if you can. And then once you make that minimum payment throughout the month, if you can make another payment, do that. Because the banks do watch that. They do keep track of that. And that's what helps you get, your higher credit limits when you're trying to get that approved.
Got you. So you've been in this business for quite some time. Like, what are are there reoccurring issues that the average client that you have is having? Like, because I feel like, again, when we opened up this discussion about credit, understanding what credit is, again, we can come to a conclusion. A lot of people don't understand credit.
Shit, life happens. That's what's going on.
Always happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a gimme. Yeah, we both share,
Right.
situations where, we couldn't keep track of credit. There's been multiple times throughout my life where I'm like, all right, I got to make a decision. My dad is funny as hell. I would sit and hang out with him. Like, let's say we watching football on Sunday.
Right.
And I'd ask him a question, how do you handle stress kind of questions? And he's like, look, but bill collector calls me. I don't stress it. I just pick up the phone and tell him I can't pay it.
Right.
I'll pay you when I pay you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sitting there. We just had like this blank moment where we just busted out laughing because I understood.
Yeah.
But it made sense. It was just like, why do I stress? Like, if I could pay it, I'll pay it.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't saying it to say neglect paying bills. He just was saying, why am I going to stress? I already know I can't make the payment
I know my
today.
situation,
I
big
can't
dog.
make the payment. Yeah. And if you ever meet my dad, I have like a similar personality to him, but he'll look you dead square in your face and say, yeah, like, what do you? Throw his hands up like
He got the nonchalant attitude, like. But I mean, when you stuck in that situation, like, what can you do? It's just like tell the truth.
Don't
People tell the
stress what
truth.
you can't control.
But
Control what you can control. This too shall pass.
But people stress though.
They
Like
do.
people will stress. I mean,
They don't like them phone calls coming in, OG, for real.
That's what you got to. That's where you got the ignore button. Send them the voicemail. Like, but again, my dad really put it in perspective for me. He was like, well, I can't pay it.
Yeah.
He was like, what do you want me to do?
You got a date for me? Nope.
But in situations where
yeah, exactly,
you have, there's relationships, significant others, and you're managing credit with a partner. And now that becomes an issue.
Yeah.
We can't pay this bill, and one's stressing, the other one isn't, and that becomes tumultuous in the relationship. Like, but it's just in general. It could be a mom, it could be a parent, it could be a roommate, it could be a significant other, whatever relationship, and the other person stresses. Like, that's why usually when I'm asking these type of questions, where are the stress levels at with the person that you're dealing with? People stress over things they can't control in the moment.
People need to work on being more open with their communication. I say that to my clients all the time. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and talk to the bank. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to talk to your partner if you can't afford something. A lot of people are just afraid to communicate. And that could just come from the lack of information, not knowing that I do have options when I call.
Sure.
Everybody needs to understand that credit can always be restored. You know what I'm saying? A collection account can always be deleted. It could be paid for, however you want to go about it. So that's one thing that people should take their stress off. If I can't handle it now, I'll worry about it later. If you're at a 580 today, a year from now, you could be at a 700.
If you're at a 580 today, you'll still be at a 580 if you can't pay that bill. I mean, dead ass though. Like, for real, you gotta really think about it. Like, if you're in that position and it's for a reason, why stress about it? Just work your hardest to get yourself out of that situation. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Quit eating out, cut the cable off, you know what I'm saying? Stop buying bottles, buy your little Chevy Malibu, get your affairs in order.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. You can't buy every Jordan. Maybe have you one pair of Jordans at the crib, but you might need to sell your Jordan collection. But if you really want to be in a financially stable situation, you got to come to a realization, like, all the stuff that could be a distraction to you or a distraction to your bank account needs to be removed, and that people have to figure out ways to eliminate distractions in that capacity.
A lot of people need to look at their wants and their needs and separate the two.
Facts.
Because when you can do that, you become more disciplined to get more focused on, things that you need, like your goals. You know what I'm saying? So if you know your goals and you work towards that, then you can make the plan to get your credit right, get your money right, all the things that a lot of people aren't here. They're not planning.
I had a real interesting conversation about 15 years ago, and it was a situation. It was based off of the conversation I had with my grandmother about credit. And at one point, I was making a large amount of money, undisclosed amount. I won't say exactly how much.
Big bag beam.
I was making some decent coin. I was making some. Well, if I was young, it felt good, right? Well, it's more than that. It's about almost 20 years ago.
We've been there. I've been there.
And so, listening to my grandmother, who I know in her heart of hearts, she wasn't trying to send me down the wrong path. But it was just like, oh, I got the money, so I don't need the credit, right? And I'm having a conversation with somebody, and they were like, all right, well, I'm just going to use round numbers. If you're bringing in $150,000 a year and you want to start a business, how much money can you bring to the table? And I'm like, well, $150,000. I was like, how? Like, how are you bringing $150,000 to the table? What about your expenses? So we start narrowing down, all of the finances. But then he was like, all right, even if you could bring $150,000, what if I need $450,000 from? How would you get me that? Can you get me that? I was like, well, I can make a couple phone calls. He was like, that's not what I want to hear. And so, like, he's just literally shutting down every answer I have. But
putting you on game.
The point was, he was like, look, if you got $150,000 coming in yearly, then you need to be able to take that money and put it in the bank and show the bank that you can bring, you know what I mean? Like some of the things you just were saying earlier.
Leverage,
that
borrow. Yeah.
And you get a line of your own instead of trying to fundraise. Fundraising is great. Obviously, you got hedge funding and all these different things. That is an element of fundraising. But ultimately, he was trying to figure out how smart I was with the money. He didn't care how much money I made. He was actually impressive. Like, the average person isn't making what you're making, and it feels good, but I'm not looking at that $150,000. And that's just a round number, by the way. And he's like, I'm looking at whether you can bring in $450,000. And do you understand how to do that? And he was like, if you don't, then we need to table this conversation until you figure it out. And I probably didn't sleep well for those next couple of nights because I was really wrecking my brain,
challenged,
trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
it was a hell of a conversation, but over the course of time, life happened. I've been very generous. As I mentioned earlier in my conversation with my lines of credit, I've looked out for people. So I've had a lot of ups and downs. I did a consultation with you, and I was very transparent about that because I think over what happened for me over the course of time, and I told Curtis this too, is like, look, I know what I'm capable of doing. So because I'm having a down moment with my credit, it's nothing to be ashamed of. And a lot of people have egos, and because they're trying to put up a front, you know, and it's like, okay, I don't want to tell this person I got terrible credit. And it really doesn't even matter how you got the terrible credit. It comes down to what are you going to do about it?
We live in a judgment society. So
right.
I mean, that's the people will judge you, and they got skeletons in their own closets.
But judgment comes. I feel like even the people that like have it figured out to a certain degree, you have you have the vanity figured out
for sure.
You don't have the understanding that So I had a conversation with my son. My son said that he's 14 in the 9th grade. This other kid was making fun of him. This kid out on Chrome Hearts, right? So I'm like, first of all, I don't even think that's real. I don't even think you're wearing. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter whether it's real or not. No 14-year-old should be having on Chrome Hearts.
Joints.
I don't know. You never know.
Right.
But no 14-year-old should have Chrome Heart on.
Definitely.
And I'm like, and so this is what the conversation led to. I pulled up his laptop, and I had him look up how much money the country's in debt. So I said, the wealth is the people that hold the wealth is 10%. The other 90% is us. It essentially doesn't matter how much money you make. There's a small percentage of people that are extremely wealthy, and then there's a larger percentage of people that are struggling. So either this dude and his family got money and they blowing it, and they teaching him the wrong shit, or he's fronting. Either way, that has nothing to do with you because you should be learning how all this works. Then we talked about tariffs. We talked about China coming out and saying, hey, by the way, Louis, Gucci, Chrome, all these guys.
That's a great black dad right there.
We make all of this product
right
that everybody's overcharging you for. So I let him down this and I said, look, like, I'm not saying not to like brands, But when you kids are getting caught up in front of each other, you're really missing the point because you're getting hustled anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you just understand the hustle? And the hustle comes down to understanding money and understanding how credit works, economics.
Yep.
And
Ask him what his credit score is.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, like, well,
Don't
why?
worry about your Chrome Hearts.
Yeah, nobody care about it. Like my son got a 4.0. It's the first quarter. He trying to get another 4.0. This is first year of high school.
There you go.
You know, so I'm like, I told him, I said, all right, you should tell that kid, hey, that's cool. You should probably focus more of your energy on getting the 4.0 instead of, because he was trying to cheat off of him and everything.
Oh,
so yeah, just little stuff like that. But like again,
so your son the plug then?
Well, I hope, you know, but that's the thing is
Yeah, exactly.
my parents love me still. You know, I got a great and solid relationship with my parents. But I look at my parents when they had me, right, and I humanize the situation. And I'm like, man, I wish they would tell me the stuff that I'm telling my son at that age.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at 14, no one was talking to me about credit.
Man, but you got to understand that my mom is 30 years older than me. We never really had these financial conversations. It's the generations that brought us that are still even learning things that we're learning now to this day, and it's fast forward. And so you don't. I wouldn't say they should have taught you, but you don't know what you don't know. The education,
they're only teaching us.
Yeah, exactly. And so and from them, credit was putting themselves in debt.
Yep.
So, you know, when they worked from the generations, they worked from coming from slavery to where they were at that point in time when your parents had you. It was about getting a job and affording what you can afford.
Yep.
And what your job was enabling you to afford, the income that you brought in. They were using leveraging and saying, hey, I'll give you $100,000 on line of credit and just pay me back over time.
Right.
We had to pay our stuff off cash in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So from the jump, and they weren't allowing us to get credit. You know what I'm saying? Black women wasn't even allowed to get bank accounts to a certain or get jobs.
Right.
So the education that they were getting is you earn it. That's what your means of income. I mean, the means of living is what you earn. So I mean, we can go into a rabbit hole when it comes to the history of money and financial education and financial literacy. But I mean, we're at a generation now where we still have to start speaking that life into our kids and to our families.
Right. I mean, my mom was in survival mode. She don't got time to think about credit. I mean, I remember there was one time I asked my mom, I was like, do you save money? She said, save money? I don't have any money to save. Right. You know, and that was like a big hit for me. Like, my mom is the motivation for why I've started to move the way I moved.
Her mom a hustler, boy, for real.
Yeah, my mom has always been. I mean, like I said, I got a job at a very young age because I realized, you know, looking at what my mom was going through, I don't want to be her. Right. And then as I get older, I want to be there for her. So I've been teaching my mom about credit. I'm not going to be mad at you because you didn't know or teach me, but I'm going to put you on right now. And same thing. I mean, I'm the oldest sibling of 10. So my sister, my brother, I've helped clean up all their credit. Like, I'm trying to be the change, pretty much. And that's
generation break.
And it's not just seeing it with them. Yes, I want to break it within my family, but anybody else that I can help. And that's why I do what I do. And that's where my business name came from, True Consulting, because I'm not here to be that guru that's, you know, painting a false picture or just run you up on game that doesn't exist. I've been there, done that, and I want to share it with you and I want to teach you.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
So with
that's why I work with her, because she's passionate about this shit.
Oh no, I heard the passion. That's cool. Yeah.
I've heard some horror stories and like, you know, them signing up with people, they don't hear from people. I'm very hands-on. It's actually kind of a flaw of mine too, because I want to get bigger, but I want to be so hands-on with everybody because I don't want you to come into this service and walk away like you didn't get nothing out of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I could trust anybody to do what I do, but that's
at least not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I mean, well, obviously that's why I took the consultation and plan to work with you as well, you know, because I definitely see the passion and I feel in any business that you go into, because that's the thing. The other part of this is people see how much money you can make, and they jump in for the money. And I'm not going to talk about my work history and everything like that, but as a corporate trainer for 6 years, that was some of the things I taught. And this is like in sales, right? You could see. I used the Avon lady actually. I know y'all know what the Avon lady is. So, no, straight up. So, like, everybody remember the Avon lady, if you old enough. Mm-hmm. The Avon, there was women that made a killing in Avon.
For sure.
And then there was people, and you see this business rinse and repeated in different ways over a course of time.
Multi-level marketing.
Yeah, MLM.
MLM.
Right? Yep. People put a negative stigma on MLM. right? And it's like, all right, well, if you think about how actual jobs are structured, there's a level of MLM in there, but you don't understand how it works. But the Avon ladies that were super successful probably knew where the product came from. They wore it every day. They lived and breathed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was other people that saw them being successful and says, oh, I want to do Avon because I see such and such is successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up failing.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to figure out why they're failing. And it's, well, maybe they aren't trying to figure it out, but they're becoming a victim and saying, oh, it's MLM. But it's like when you're looking at business, you have to be passionate about what you're doing.
You have to.
And it doesn't matter what field you're in. So that's some of the things I look at, because I'm like, all right, well, if this person's passionate about me, if this person's going to be hard on me about mine, then I can trust this person because I know that they're going to push me through, and that to me goes a long way versus the person that's just saying that they're a guru. And then, like you said, you'll do business with them and then you don't hear from them. You barely hear from them and you're trying to figure out what's the next steps and you don't get those next steps.
I actually just had a consultation the other day. I won't disclose the name, but they told me that they went through another credit service. And it's why are you on the phone with me? Like, but they were like, I went to go look at this person on social media. They had over 100,000 followers. And he's explaining to me like, yeah, I went with this. And he was like, honestly, I just feel like they want my money and I'm not getting no results. And I'm like, that's crazy because you went with somebody for the look that they had. You went with them because they had 100,000 followers. They were a man. I know I'm a woman. I know that does play a part when I get those male consultations. But now we're on the phone together. So I do feel like, with social media and all the gurus out there, like it can play with people's mind and be like, well, I want to go with this person because they showing $100,000 on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got a picture in my phone right now with $100,000, but I don't need to post that to get your business.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
Raising money.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I was like, I don't want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the work I've noticed within my business within credit, which I do believe in alignment and manifesting energy and all that. The reason why I'm in this business is because where I started, how I learned everything from my own personal experience on top of the education and all the game that has been given to me.
Got you.
Spit your game, talk your shit.
You brought up something. I want to ask this one last question. When you said that during your male consultations, you feel that there's apprehension. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but there's apprehension with men.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Why do you think that that's an issue?
Well, men, I don't know. I feel like men look at women. I've had calls.
We're going to have a relationship and male, female.
That's another. Yeah.
There is some.
Cover, change her clothes.
They're hesitant because she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? Can you do, this goes back to just talking about our rights in general. Like men look at you like, can you do what I know he can do? That's just the vibe that I get. Or are you just a pretty face? You know what I'm saying? Half the time, the consultations may be happening because you just think I'm cute to begin with. I know that energy through the phone. I know who's serious and I know who's not serious. Like somebody asking me if I'm married, what does that got to do with our consultation?
Oh, yeah, that's a clear indication.
You know what I'm saying? Right. What does that have to do? So, yes, but
so what you doing later?
I've taken on...
Nothing, your credit's still.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this over lunch?
Yeah. No. We're not doing anything together because,
Yeah, you want to have a drink while we talk about credit?
I'm looking at your utilization. I'm looking at you. Right. Can you?
Yeah. I've been happy to take on those clients though because I love a challenge and I love to surprise people. I feel like I've been surprising people for a long time now. So even though I feel that energy at times, I'm happy to take you on as a client and show you something different.
Got you. No, I respect that. I mean, that's an honest question because that's the thing is it is a factor from time to time, and it's obviously because of the issues or that you mentioned. So. I think this has been very insightful. We don't want to give them too much game because then they wouldn't consult. So tell us where we can find you at on social media and website.
Yes,
like that.
On social media, I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook. You can find me at Tishara Walker on my personal page to get in contact with my True Consulting page. So just look up True Consulting. You'll find me on Instagram. Through there, you can send me a message. We can book a consultation, and I can give you all the game that you need.
Awesome.
Definitely. Definitely tap in with C. Blair and Associates. We are a umbrella, and she is a part of the umbrella. We keep it pushing here. We got CL Code out there working with brands and marketing. We have what other brands and marketing that we got?
We got Pure Entertainment.
Yep.
Kickback IP
for sure.
Social Activation IP. And yeah, we're building a strong ecosystem. Tishara is very much a part of that ecosystem.
For sure.
And yeah, this ecosystem that we have is tapped into Translation Media as well.
Translation Media.
This is where you can find us on all handles, Translation Media. This is another episode of Translation.
This is Kurt Blair, C. Blair Associates. You can find me there, or you can call me or hit me on Mr. C. Blair on all social media platforms as well. But this is a good conversation because you need to get your credit together. That is a very key aspect of life in general. So make sure that you're being financially responsible. You're educating yourself. If it's not with us, it's somebody else. So there's a lot of people out here that are giving great information. And make sure that you are taking heed and also learning this information on your own to make sure that you know which path and direction is right for you, because it's not cookie cutter. So let's tap in a little bit later. Everybody stay solid. Thanks for listening to Translation Media.
Peace.